Today is the last day of the leadership month, and I saved the best for last, servant leadership. This is one of my favorites. Of course, I still love transformational leadership as well, but this is the one that kind of seals the deal. I feel like it brings a lot of balance. In fact, you could take a little bit of each model and make something amazing, and actually you'll see a lot of reflection of it in the Word of God and a lot of who Jesus is and who He desires us to be. So some of the things I kind of want to go over are some highlights and also to give you the top 10 things that is considered a servant leader. It is based off the concept of Robert Greenleaf back in 1970. I know it sounds far back, that is very far back, but the concepts are so relevant. In fact, there's a lot of great resources and reference you can look up and find people make some other great suggestions and additions to where they kind of branch off a greater definition and understanding of where you can apply it in different areas and locations. And a lot of it is really amazing. In fact, I just bought a book and I'll show you guys at the end of that which book that is. It's really interesting. It's really helping you how to not only build your team, but your organization is to be a servant leader in that area and how to apply that and what that looks like. That's one thing I love about how Robert Greenleaf expresses what a servant leader is. It's not necessarily a definition for us to kind of just like, oh, this is what it is. He gave practical insight of what it looks to apply and when it looks like when it's not applied. So let's look over some of those things and see what that looks like. So leadership is not necessarily defined. They kind of went back and forth. Of course, a lot of scholars have a bunch of different ideas, but when Robert Greenleaf gave it a definition, he did it based off an approach, an attitude, and the end result. That's how he defined it. So it's really amazing how it almost is like a mission statement of what servant leadership is all about, and not necessarily, just a simple, plain, flat, no dimension in his definition. And so it emphasizes the leader be attentive to the concerns of their followers, and it emphasizes with them and nurtures them. And I love that. I love how that it's not just, the leader just telling the follower what to do, and in this case also too, a supervisor telling the staff what to do, but simply really engaging and being part of their life and in part of their growth and part of helping them, because they know that if they invest in them, they're basically going to sow in some greater things and creating more of themselves. So you teach people how to fish, you don't fish for them, right? So that's kind of the concept, and I love that. Teach people how to fish, because it goes a long way. And I think sometimes we miss this concept because we spend so much time saying we don't have time. But if you spend that extra time, that 1 hour that you feel that you don't have, invested in that individual, you will sow so much more, and you'll be able to not always have to fish for them every time. Now, back in 1970, his most frequent reference definition, I kind of want to go over, it's kind of sum over of the whole thing. And I want to read it because I want to do it great justice of what it says. A servant leadership begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. There's this natural feeling of someone wanting to serve. That is what a servant leadership is all about. And the conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. I love that. It brings this decision of, I want to lead. You're still serving, but I want to lead. A great reflection of who Jesus Christ is. The difference manifests itself in the care taken by the servant first to make sure that other people's priorities, needs are being served. That's very important. And that's a little bit of what we'll talk about more later on in the criticism, but that's what a servant is all about. There's a great balance of that, and I know sometimes it's really hard. Well, we're not here for other people, but in a lot of ways we kind of are. No matter what organization, who you are, you have clients, you have customers, you have congregants, you're serving other people, so their needs they are important. The best test, and this is what I love the best, I'm part of this definition, and I'm just summarizing here. It says, do those served grow as a person? And as when you're serving, when you are being a servant leader, those who are under you, are they desiring to want to grow and be a better person? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, most likely themselves to become servants? Is that what the fruit is? Is that the fruit that you're bearing? And you'll be able to see that when you have other leaders want to come forth and serve with you and want to serve for you, or even for the organization, or even if they leave your organization, they are serving in a greater and a mightier way. So that's how you know that there's true servant leadership, because they're becoming healthier, wiser. There's things that you're sowing great things into them. One thing I love about Greenleaf is that his main idea was to advocate using communication to build consensus in groups. Communication, key element, very important. We can never assume. Always remember, everybody grew up different. Everybody has a different concept of understanding, perception, and no matter what position they hold, we should never assume that they should know, or they should understand, or how come they don't see it like I see it, or this is how I see it, it makes sense. Why does it make sense to other people? It's very important as a servant leader that we lead with great communication. Very, very key element, most important. Now, we're going to talk about the 10 characteristics of servant leader. I'm kind of going to go over the top 10. These are really good, kind of self-reflect. You want more information, check out the book, Robert Greenleaf's Servant Leadership. Let's go over it. The first one, listening. It's the key element. Communicates by listening first. A learned discipline of hearing and being receptive. Number 2, empathy. Standing in their shoes. As a leader, do we have the ability to have that empathy where we could stand in the other person's shoes and attempting to see their point of view? It's not whether you think they're right or they're wrong. Can you see their point of view? Can you see the perspective? Can you have that compassion, that empathy? Healing. That's one of the characteristics. Cares about personal well-being of others. You care about other people. You care about their well-being. Awareness, acutely attuned and receptive to their physical, social, and political environment, that you are just aware. You're aware of all these things, and you include oneself in the impact that you have on others. You are aware of your tone, your attitude, your ability, the way you talk to other people, how you act, and just a variety of different things of what you bring, your presence, and you are self-aware when you see other people react or don't react. And their silence in so many different ways. You're aware of what you bring to the table and what you don't, or when you don't. And that's very good to be self-aware. Are you self-aware of knowing your weaknesses? That's probably the key element that I always say. Always know your weaknesses, so that when you feel that, whether it's insecurity or any kind of lack of any sort, you feel it kind of surface when when you're facing a certain situation and you feel it surface, you should pause for a moment, because if not, then that very insecurity will be the leading element of whatever question, whatever fight or argument or anything that goes forth. That is the top thing. The first thing that comes out is insecurity, especially if you know they hit a soft spot. So key element to know yourself, be self-aware, be aware of your weaknesses, so that when you feel that moment of insecurity or anything of that sort, you kind of pause for a moment, and making sure that when you respond, it's based off of facts and truths, regardless of how you feel or what you think or what you perceive, or maybe you just don't say anything at all. Self-awareness, key element. Persuasion, your clear and persistent communication that convinces other people to change. Now, this might get a little tricky, but the whole point is that you're not trying to coerce someone or force compliance in somebody. You have this ability to persuade them, that you're trying to get them on the team. You're trying to persuade them to do the very thing that will help the organization, help themselves, and kind of see those very things. So persuasion's not bad, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. There's good persuasion, and then there's manipulation. Totally two different things. So it's very good to kind of know the difference, and know and always to make sure you check your heart, right? Check to see if you're balanced. Know your motives. What are your motives for wanting to persuade someone? What are your true intentions and reasons for that? And be honest. And sometimes if you mean that means you just can't say anything, don't say anything, because if your motives are wrong, then it can lead that person to the wrong direction and also sow some bad seed there. Number 6, conceptualization. Individuals' ability to be able to be a visionary for an organization. Do you have a clear sense of goals and direction? Do you have that? And that's another good thing to be as a servant leader. Foresight, the ability to predict what is coming based on what is coming in the present and what has happened in the past. Are you able to basically look at a situation, look at a program, look at a ministry, look at a different type of element, anything that you're trying to apply in kind of marketing opportunity, and be able to see all the intricate ins and outs based off the history, all the data that you're aware of and know, and be able to kind of predict of, you know what, if we do that, it'll go in this direction, or if we do this, we'll go into that direction, and see the kind of the future of that sort. That's really good to have that, especially if you're dealing with like logistics and things of the sort, what to predict people's behaviors and abilities and how people will respond and things of that sort. Number 8 is stewardship. Taking responsibility for the leadership role entrusted to the leaders. Accept responsibility. At the end of the day, own it, right? So that's really hard. We're so quick to want to blame and point fingers. Own it, move on. All right, I messed up, move on, and you work on it, and then you always look back, okay, how can I improve on this for next time? You don't owe anybody explanations of any sort. Your idea is to take steward. You're there to learn from it and own it and take responsibility. Even that means if you gave someone wrong information and then you own that very thing that you, even though you led them in the wrong direction, whether it was on purpose or not on purpose, it's something that you just own and you move on. Great stewardship for that. Number 9 is commitment to the growth of people. Places a premium on treating each follower as a unique person with intrinsic values that goes beyond his or her tangible contribution. Each person to help grow in the organization personally and professionally. That is really important. Your commitment is to help the growth of other people. Because remember, at the end of the day, when we teach people how to fish, they'll be able to go fish for themselves and help also contribute to the organization. And last but not least, it's building community. Fosters the development of the community. Build a community that provides a place where people feel safe and connected with others, but are still allowed to express their own individuality. It's very important. That's probably one of the many top things that people want to have, is to feel safe in wherever they work, wherever they're at. So that is one of many things. Like I told you, I wanted to kind of touch up a little bit on the criticism that people talk about. And one of the criticisms that people talk about is the fact that it's called servant leadership. They believe that servant and leadership kind of don't go hand in hand, because leader, you lead, a servant is the one who follows. And so that's why I love this concept, because I really think it creates a great balance. It's considered a criticism. I don't agree with it, and of course we don't have to take it for that, but it's really, see it as a servant and a leadership as something that brings great balance. We're here to serve, but we're also here to lead. And a great example, of course, we're always going to go and refer to this most amazing God of ours is Jesus Christ, greatest leader we have, and nothing will be ever great. He's a great example, and we'll follow Jesus Christ to the end. And so that's what's most important. He is leading us, but he has also served. He washed the feet of the disciples, as we all remember and all know that amazing experience that they had. And so servant leadership, criticism, I don't think not. I think it's a great balance. I love you guys. I look forward to telling you what's going to happen in October, and I'm going to release that on October 1st. Love you. Have a blessed day.